Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and welcome to Knife AQ number 20. It's the knife question. I said that last week. It's the knife series where I get to answer all of your knife questions, whether they're big, small, sharp, or dull. You know the drill. Let's get into it. All right, thanks everyone for your support on this Knife AQ series. I've been really happy with it. I know a lot of you folks have been really enjoying it as well. But to keep it going, as always, we need your questions. Make sure if you have a knife question, leave it in the comments below for a chance to get it featured in a future installment. But today, it's kind of a theme show today in that we're looking at EDC upgrades, kind of some next step, next level stuff for some folks who are into knives. They have something, but what's the next step? They're looking for an improvement or something to upgrade from what they're carrying now. And there's some pretty cool stuff here on the table, so let's get into it. First question is Mr. Wednesday 23. He says, "Hi David, I love the series. Thank you very much. I have a Spyderco Ambitious." I do too. It's right here. It's been my EDC for the last 5 years, and it's been fantastic. I love the size, shape, and handle, but I'd like to upgrade. I'm in Australia and laws are pretty strict, so no autos or assisted. Any suggestions? Yes, certainly. And the Ambitious is a great little knife, especially to have spent that much time with. It's one of those small knives that it doesn't feel like too small of a knife. You certainly have enough of a handle here to get a solid grip. It's kind of a 3.5 finger length for my hands, and the price is about 45 bucks. Nice strong liner lock, and the blade itself feels very strong. It's not super thick, but it has a full flat grind as well. Just a good balance between slicing capabilities and some decent strength behind it as well. But I could certainly understand why you're looking to upgrade, maybe to something a little bit nicer. And I've actually got what I think is kind of the perfect thing in that same size range. It's not going to be quite as efficient of a cutter, not as good of a slicer. But for me, what comes to mind immediately is the DPX Heat, or Heat F technically. This one comes in at about 180 bucks, but I'm gonna show you another one as well. As you can see, the size and shape match up pretty well actually. But the main difference between the Spyderco and the DPX is kind of the overbuilt nature of the DPX. You can see here it's a decent bit thicker, and the blade steel itself is definitely a significant amount thicker than the Ambitious. And they kind of lean into that small size but rugged, heavy duty, extra performance baked in. It's just a solid little piece. Construction is going to look kind of familiar to that Ambitious. You've got G10 on the front side, but instead of a liner lock, nice beefy frame lock there on the back. You can also see deep carry pocket clip. It's right side only, so you don't have the 4-position style of clip that you get on that Spyderco, but you also get a glass breaker there built into the end that is removable as well, and that's what helps you take the clip off. I think this one comes with an extra flat cap. I know this next one does. I actually don't remember what was in the box a second ago. But the main difference, apart from, well, there's two main differences. One, the feel in the hand is a little bit chunkier, and that blade is going to be just more stout in general. You've got a Sleipner steel here. It's a tool steel. Kind of a D2 on steroids type of thing. Excellent performance overall. Just 2¼ inches of beefy steel. It's got a stonewashed finish on it, which, Sleipner is not completely stainless, so that's gonna kind of help it a little bit in terms of its corrosion resistance, kind of polishes the surface a little bit. And the cool thing, especially on this knife, is that cutout in the spine. Does two things. One, it's a bottle opener, and two, you can use it kind of like an Emerson Wave in that you can catch the hem of your pocket, and as you draw it from your pocket, that will rotate the blade into the open position. Or you can just use the dual thumb studs. But super solid pieces, and yeah, different characters, but, oh sorry, pardon the hair there. Different characters than that Spyderco, but kind of, that's what came to mind immediately for me. It works really well in my mind. But my favorite version is actually the one of the newest versions, the Heat F Leggero Etruscan Bronze, which You don't have to get the Etruscan bronze version. They're all really cool, but you've got a full titanium frame in this case rather than G10 on the front. Little bit of contour and a nice texture on it that's not too aggressive. It has an even better feel in the hand for me. It just sits in there real nice. Wide contact patch. I can actually get all 4 of my fingers on this particular knife and go to town. And then M390 blade steel on this one as well. Comes at a premium, certainly that extra cost in the blade material and the handle material and machining. This one comes in about $285. But check these out. Let me know what you think. All right, next question is from Scoob McElroy. Hey David, I EDC a cold steel Spartan. Biggin. It says, and it never got a lot of love in the upgraded materials department. Is there another knife around that is similar, just a little more upgraded? This is a tough one because, you know, this is kind of one of those typical or signature cold steel style of knives that not really many folks are doing out there. Decently affordable. It's only $78, so it's not a bargain basement price, but it is very attainable. AUS 10 steel, which is going to give you some good performance there. Not, you know, crazy high-end performance, but very, very capable. Nice stone-washed finish, cool blade shape, triad lock as well, which to me is, you know, what I love about a lot of cold steel stuff, just the strength of that lock. And actually, the ambidextrous thumb plate here will also work as that quote-unquote Emerson wave as well, in addition to standard thumb opening. So it's got a lot going for it. And this is one I'm going to give you an option, but I'm kind of going to throw to the comments on what you guys think a good suggestion would be. Kind of the only thing I could think of that came close in my mind was the CRKT Motley, which is a Ken Onion design. A little bit smaller, but it's got a bit of that same swagger. Just, you know, it certainly doesn't equal the same swagger as that Spartan. It's definitely a statement piece. This is too, but it's a little more understated. But this CRKT, it's an Italian-made knife. It's not from their Chinese factories. Comes in about $360 right now, and it's got a Sleipner steel blade. Really cool shape going on. Echoes a little bit that kind of kukri-esque shape, but really it's just kind of a snaky, sexy recurve going on, and that carries through into the full titanium handles as well. We've got carbon fiber inlays on both the front and the back, and on the back side that actually will help act as your over travel arrestor for that frame lock as well. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible in this case, kind of similar in design to that DPX, but you do have the reversibility here, and no glass breaker on this one either. But it's a good feeling knife. It's definitely, it definitely makes a statement. Got nice flipping action, IKBS bearings in the pivot. It's just an overall really cool piece. These haven't flown off the shelves, but they are limited overall out of 500, and this one is serialized. Well, they're all serialized. So if you do want one, they'll probably be around for a little bit, but I wouldn't wait too long because one day they are going to be gone. But anyway, that's a little bit there. I feel like that's kind of a 90% there suggestion for the Spartan. Relying on you guys in the comment section. What are your suggestions? I mean, there's certainly other cold steel stuff that has the same kind of attitude, but materials-wise, it kind of falls into the same kind of bucket as this particular knife. So let me have it, guys. Figure it out. Let me know. And I'll feature, if there's some real good suggestions down there, I'll feature them in a future episode. But for now, next question from 04 Hemi. Question for future video. I've recently gotten bit by the fixed blade bug. I'm very happy to hear that. I purchased a CRKT Minimalist and love it, but I wonder what you'd recommend for something a bit bigger that can be carried horizontally on a belt in the $100 budget range. Thanks. Sure, I've got a good one here that I've been waiting to answer for this particular knife to come back in stock. You didn't mention which blade shape you used on the Minimalist, but for me, my mind always goes to the Wharncliffe shape. It's, in my mind, the most iconic of the whole Minimalist family, and it's just a nice little utility blade that you can take with you day to day. But just as before, I could absolutely see why you're looking for the next step, something a little bigger in this case, with a little more performance than the simple stainless steel you get here. I think it's a 5CR stainless, so it's fine. Comes in at a $26 price point, so you get what you pay for in this sort of case. But the knife I think would be a great upgrade, well, let me keep holding that CRKT, is the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake. Just a little bit bigger, as you can see, great Wharncliffe shape, a little bit more handle to hold on to. It's sort of a 3.5 finger grip for my slightly larger than average hands on the main section here, but you've got that choil to choke up as well. And you can see I've got a little bit sticking out at that point. So definitely you can get a full grip on this knife. Blade length is just over 3 inches, about 3 1/8. And the steel in this case is really interesting. It's RPM 9, which is a new steel proprietary to Artisan and CJRB, which is their budget subsidiary. Although budget is kind of a misnomer, because I'll tell you the price of this knife in a second. It might surprise you. But the steel itself, very interesting. It's a powder metallurgy steel that they designed with budget knives in mind. So they didn't go for like the most technological wizardry impacted blade steel that they could get. But they came out with something that they say gets you edge retention like D2 or possibly a little bit better, but fully stainless and a lot easier to sharpen. Now, I haven't tested this steel head to head with some D2s out there, but I have been using one of their knives with RPM 9, and I've been very happy with the performance. Very easy to maintain, and I don't feel like it goes dull on you right away. It's got a great profile for piercing here, thin blade stock in this case, so you're going to be able to do some decent, powerful slices and heavier cuts without it binding up too much. Keep things, within reason, of course. It's not a heavy-duty knife; it's a medium-duty in general. But it's going to work well for some self-defense applications as well. Although, make sure you keep your grip behind that finger guard for a little extra protection for yourself. G10 handles. There's 3 colors right now. I picked the green because that's just the closest to the Minimalist. But there's black and tan, I think, right now as well. But you mentioned a $100 price point. These guys come in at a very affordable $40. And just because you set that upper limit, I'm going to pick the right knife that I think is the right answer. And in this case, it comes in significantly less than your ceiling. But that's a good thing, because it's going to give you a little extra budget to play with for the belt attachment hardware you'll need, because the Kydex sheath that this knife comes with is set up for net carry. There's no belt attachment hardware, but you've got rivets here that will fit a standard tech lock, which you've got essentially 9 holes here, so you can play around with the placement. You can carry horizontal very easily. You can carry vertical or what are the words? Help me out here.
Inverted.
Inverted. Thank you, Thomas. Inverted or standard, regular style, whatever you want to call it. But these are just great to have, these tech locks, because they seem to fit a lot of aftermarket, or a lot of sheaths out there. That gives you a good aftermarket option. And these are pretty affordable too. I think less than $20. So even all in, you're still well under that $100 price point, and you're gonna have a very cool and very useful new knife. All right, next question is from Matthias Stevens. He says, I really liked my Buck Redpoint Rescue, but those are discontinued. What should be a quality replacement for this? I liked the way it locked and was able to open it one-handed with gloves on. Thoughts? Sure. You're absolutely right. They are discontinued, so I don't have one here to show on camera, so we'll make sure to drop an image up so the viewers know what we're looking at there. We did do a video fairly recently on rescue knives in general, so we'll leave a link to that. But I'll give you kind of my off-the-cuff reaction to this. The thing that knife reminded me of pretty straight away was the Ontario XR1, which is the Extreme Rescue Folding Knife. Comes in about $118 right now. You've still got those bright yellow handles, which you didn't mention if the color itself was important to you, but that Buck Redpoint had some yellow handles. You've got about 3 3/8 of an inch of blade steel, N690 CO in this case. This is an Italian knife. Not an American-made Ontario, but it's a nice stout blade. You've got a classic drop point profile, which is better than a clip point, of course, for getting under fabric and that sort of thing if you need. And you've got some serrations as well. The other thing that kind of reminds me of that Redpoint, in addition to the color, is the fact that the seat belt cutter isn't folding. It's fixed there onto the back end, so you don't have to worry about it. Or worry about muscle memory being able to remove that or open that. You just invert the knife and you can go to town. Now, the one thing this knife has that sets it apart fairly differently from that Redpoint is the lock itself. This is a liner lock, so you have to bring your finger over the path of the blade as you're closing it, and it might be a little trickier with gloves on. You don't have a ton of room here, but it is jimped. I think it would do fairly well, but if you're looking for something more similar to that Redpoint in terms of the locking style, something like the Benchmade Triage or the Hogue Trauma or even the SOG Trident AT come to mind. But I think more closely even than those would be this Gerber. This is the CLS Rescue, coming in about 67 bucks right now. Now, in terms of the lock on this, you can see right there, you've got a sliding button right there, and it's essentially a liner lock on the inside, but the button itself, we'll see if we can get a good camera angle, pull it back and it moves that liner up. But it's kind of going to operate very similarly to that Redpoint Rescue. You can pull that back, sticks up a little bit, so you should be able to get a pretty good purchase on it, even with gloves, and close it up very easily. Speaking of gloves, you've got oversized thumb studs on both sides of the blade. So again, very easy to find and open the blade quite easily. Blade material is simple, it's 440A, not a huge edge retention champ, but it's going to be very serviceable. You've got those serrations there. But in this case, the seatbelt cutter is a folding design. It's not, you will have to open that to get to it, but this type of design is nice and effective. Glass breaker here on the end as well. It's actually a glass breaker on that Ontario as well on the front side. And you've also got an oxygen wrench there on the back as well. So a lot of capability, a lot of functionality packed in to a pretty decent price. And you may not get the bright colors, but I think this would definitely be worth a look to replace your buck. All right, next is from Gorilla 447. It says, I have many Victorinox, but is there a knife similar to the Swiss Army knives with upgraded materials and maybe a locking mechanism? Absolutely. We actually did a Swiss Army knife alternatives video very recently. We'll leave a link to that one as well. But I'll pull a couple of things here. Obviously, there are some Swiss Army knives with locks. My everyday carry is this EvoGrip S18. You've got a lock tab right here. It kind of functions like a lock back, except instead of the lock release being on the back, they made this little lever to kind of push the back spring out of the way. I like this little knife for sure, but you don't get upgraded materials. Another locking competitor would be the Swyza knives. There's a whole range of them, and these come with a button actuated liner lock as well. You simply press right here. I still think it's a two-hand close. It's a little hard to do it one-handed, but again, not necessarily upgraded materials going on those. That's kind of the rub. Like I've not really seen locking with upgraded materials in the way that would make sense to me as a Swiss Army competitor. You got like the Leatherman T2s and T4s, but again, that's just a 420 HC steel. If you want better steel, right now you got to look at the MKM Malga series, and this is the Malga 6, which currently is the only knife in the series, but we are expecting more. They come in about just under 110 bucks, and you get an M390 blade steel. They're finished pretty nicely. They've got a stone-washed finish going on. This particular one is actually one that I've picked up. I've been carrying it for the last few weeks. It doesn't exactly have all the tools I'm particularly interested in, but I wanted to give this series a shot and see what I liked about it and what I didn't like. And overall, it's coming up pretty solid. Still got some more testing to do for my own edification, but mainly that fork. I think that's kind of I don't really know what I'm going to use that for day to day, but it is kind of fun. And micarta handle scales on these as well, which is really cool. And they're removable as well, so you can actually take the scales themselves off, maybe do a custom project, do a little modification if you want. That's pretty fun. So those are, that's kind of the upgrade option I can think of when it comes to Swiss Army knives, and we're definitely looking forward, MKM, hope you're watching, to some even cooler variants in the future. All right, here's where I'm gonna get into trouble. Our last question is not really a question, it's a comment from Lurifax. He says, hey Dave, Norga person here. The phrase in question would be, "Let's stora hinder en gigu." Yeah, clearly I don't actually speak Norwegian despite my heritage. But that's supposed to say slightly larger than average hands in Norwegian. We've actually had a few of you comment in, and everyone's translation is a little bit different. But thank you. Tusen tak to you, sir. It says, thanks for continuing to give us great, easily digestible knife content. You are great, and so are the guys behind the scenes. That's Thomas over there.
What up?
Big round of applause for him. If it weren't for him, I'd just be sitting here talking in a room with no cameras rolling, and people would just think I'm crazy. So thank you guys for your comments. Keep them coming in. If you want a chance to have one of your questions answered in the future, make sure to leave them in the comments. And if you want to get your hands on any of these knives, we'll leave links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. While you're over there, do make sure to sign up for our Knife Rewards program, because if you're going to buy one of these knives, you might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, signing off. See you next time.